Have you ever had a bad day? Think about this. What if you had company coming to stay with you, and a pipe broke between your first and second floor? Not only could you not find the leak, but your house was flooding. Well then, on that same day, a piece that you paid $2,500 for arrives after almost 20 months, and it is broke to shit. Now on the bright side, this bad day wasn't me. It was Jerry Bourne. So sorry, Jerry. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey, welcome to the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X, and today we are trying to review a custom, means it's a private unlicensed commission, quarter scale, means in real life this would be 4 times bigger, Magneto on Sentinel Throne Statue. My God, that's a mouthful.
That's what she said.
So as I said in the intro, this actually is not my statue. This unfortunate calamity, I don't know what to call it, belongs to Jerry Bourne. My God, it just started changing directions. Pretty sure. I've drank a lot. Now, for the record, I drank after I unboxed it. It was broken to hell all before I got it. However, Jerry Bourne sent this to me in the hopes that I would buy this because he doesn't have enough room for it. Now, I saw this piece when they first displayed it probably about 24 months ago, and I was really interested because I love Magneto, I love Sentinel statues, I love Throne statues. I used to own this Magneto from XM Studios right here, which was terribly underscaled. Now, a few other custom groups also have Magneto on Throne statues coming, and I have both of them on order, so I passed on this one due to the size, because sometimes it's just too big. So Jerry ordered this, and like a lot of statue buyers, it was kind of on impulse, and now he realizes he doesn't have room for it. So he said, hey, what if I ship it to your house, and then I know that once you review it, you're going to love it. Then you can buy it from me at retail. So I said, sure, I'll try and fall into that trap. But fortunately, there's no way I want to do that at this point because it is broke to hell. But we're still going to do a review on this piece despite all of the broken issues. Now, if you want to find out what's going to happen with all the broken issues, make sure to check out Collective Minds. It's a YouTube channel where they do a weekly chat on Sundays. I put a link in the description below. Jerry actually is a big part of that. I believe he might actually run it, but he will give you guys an update on what's going to happen with this. But make sure to tune into their chat to see what happens with this. In the meantime, we're going to do a review on this, and I gotta say that I wasn't a big fan when I saw pictures of this. I thought it looked really cool, but in person, other than the huge breakages, it is absolutely amazing. So we're going to do an extreme review, traditional categories, traditional scale, and we're going to kick it off with concept. So I feel like XM Studios' Magneto on Throne was the true original on Throne statue, and since then Thrones have become very, very popular. Now this has taken that and put it on steroids times 10. So it's not just Magneto on a Sentinel hand, but it's Magneto on a Sentinel everything. Check it out. So at the base here, the throne itself is made up of a number of things. The large sentinel, it could be Master Mole, who knows what it is, or just a regular sentinel. There's a giant hand in the front, and granted you can't see a couple of the fingers because of the breakages, but there's some of the small sentinels all throughout. There's got to be 15 to 20 different heads and hands just mixed in. You're going to see a lot in paint and sculpt. And Magneto is sitting on there very victorious. Normally his right foot right here is actually on one of the small sentinel's heads. But not only is he leaning back, he's kind of leaning forward. So depending which switch out options you look at, and there are a ton of them, right here I have him, he's actually using his magnetic field power to reach out. Maybe he's just showing how badass he is. Maybe he's just fighting someone else while sitting down, which is also badass in my opinion. And as you move up, you see even more sentinel. You see a giant sentinel head behind him. Now this particular custom group has done a number of Sentinel pieces. I'm going to show you one in a second, and what's really cool is it lines up with those, plus a lot of other custom groups that you actually see behind me. And I think it looks great. I think there's so much going on, it's hard to keep up, but I give it a 4 out of 5 on the concept because I am incredibly impressed. It looks a lot more impressive in person. Now Mrs. X doesn't like the crotch shot, where you kind of just see in here where his junk is, because whenever she sees anybody that has any type of size, she gets embarrassed because she just thinks that what I told her that, hey, I'm normal, that's not true. And if you're wondering, have you been drinking? You've never watched this channel before, have you? So now the other piece I have from this group, I have a number of pieces from the group, but the other Sentinel piece that pairs really well with this is this right here, Banshee vs. Sentinel. Now, if I was going to keep this, I wasn't going to keep it behind me. I was going to put it with all of my throne pieces. You can actually check out a recent video of my room tour right here, and there was an entire throne wall. And if it fit and it wasn't broken, I was going to buy it from Jerry at retail, which we'll talk about in value, and actually put it there. Now let's dive into the design of the piece. So I did assemble this on camera, and as I said, unfortunately there were some broken parts in the box, but let's check out what that is before we look at the switch outs. Two giant boxes, as you can see. Now, it's clear that the box that had the broken parts was abused. You can see it right here. You know, these UPS guys, they just roll it sometimes. The first layer of that box, however, was untouched. It uses standard straps, custom black foam. You see a lot of the different parts of the base, some portraits. This was the big base that was broken. You can already see some of the pieces throughout. This is how it was in the box, just completely smashed. And then even look at those little pieces that are left shattered. And this was the end result of the break. Very unfortunate because the way the fingers are, it actually can't go back together with glue. The second box actually had an art box with it, which was really, really cool. I'm not a big art box guy because I never see it other than when I unpack it. But as you can see the different sides of it, they did a really nice job. Then here's the inside of that box again. Black foam with the straps. Had two different layers. The first layer you can see right here. And then once you start removing the foam, you see the giant Sentinel head, Magneto's body, 3 more of his portraits. And the second layer is right here, which had the cape and the giant Sentinel head below it.
Previously on XMen.
All right, so you have 6 different portraits. That's right, 6. 3 don't have a helmet on, and 3 have a helmet. So first, without the helmet, you have one where he is actually screaming. Very Jim Lee, in my opinion. Then another one where his mouth is closed fully. And this one where he is baring his teeth. Probably my favorite of the unmasked. With the masked, or helmeted, I should say. Very similar. You have one where he's screaming, which is pretty cool. You have one with his teeth bared, and this actually has a light-up feature we're going to talk about in a second. And then one where he looks really grumpy, like an old man. Very grumpy. His right hand, you have a number of different options. First is that magnetic field, kind of that power that I showed you. Another one where he is crushing one of the Sentinel's heads, the small Sentinels. And another one that I wouldn't use ever is just his hand is outstretched. On his left hand, there are 2 switch out options, both holding a Sentinel head. One right here, kind of normal, and the other one where it's crushing it quite a bit more. All right, let me try and measure this beast. Now, this was one of the big decisions on whether I wanted this or not. I was going to put it in a Magicase Max 150, which is kind of the taller one. So I was able to adjust the shelf, but the tallest part is 34 inches. I already know because I already measured. The depth, which is what I'm going to have an issue with, is kind of hard to tell, but it's about 34 inches as well, maybe 35 inches. And the deepest part, or widest part, I should say, is about 19-20 inches. So depth-wise, curious if it'll fit or not. Now, it does have some cool light-up features. Unfortunately, I was out of those batteries, so I just ordered some on Amazon. I'll have them tomorrow. If you want to see what it looks like lit up, make sure to check out the Extreme Channel's social media. TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I post exclusive stuff on there. The link is in the description below. But the light-up features include the Sentinel's eyes, mouth, and then one of the Magneto heads. Now, with design, you have to take into consideration there were some damages. I mean, let's face it, this really sucks. I mean, not for me, but for Jerry, who paid $2,500 for this. And the size does make it really hard to display. Now, if there weren't damages, I would probably give the design a 4 out of 5, but this particular piece on my table, I'm giving 3 out of 5 because of the damages. It is very elaborate, which I definitely give them props for. Paint and sculpt. So I bought so many different pieces from this group, and they do not disappoint. They didn't with this. It looks amazing in real life. And there's just so much going on, it's hard to know what to focus on. Check out what I'm talking about. As I dive into this guy, it's such a shame because he looks so great, and I keep going back to that right there. However, very similar to a lot of the other pieces. For example, that Banshee back there is one I was talking about. There's another Rogue with head done by a different company, but very similar format. So the Sentinel looks fantastic. I love the sculpt on him. Everything is so battle damaged, whether it looks like Wolverine scratched it up or scoring from heat blasts. I like how the top is kind of ripped apart, really showing his metallic powers. And then everything that's inside of it, check this out. You see the intricacies of the smaller bots here. You see the heads and the arms, some wiring and tubing, and it just goes on and on and on, and it seems like it never stops. There are a few places in the sculpt, for example, like right here, where the looks kind of meshed together, which I'm okay with because it's displaying Magneto's powers. But the color looks great. I like the color purple they used. It's an off purple from Magneto, so there's not, you're not overwhelmed with actual purple. The face of the Sentinel looks fantastic. I love that look. The size of the head is great. So they really did a nice job. How the metal is pulling out here, so cool. And a lot of the stuff on the back you would technically never see. Wish that's where it was busted. Would have been a lot easier. And again, so much things just melded in there. That's what's awesome. Like the concept we talked about. Magneto himself is great. Now keep in mind, he's supposed to be resting his foot on this right here. So that's why it looks funny. I like the Magneto they did here. They didn't over-muscularize him as it's often done. They didn't over-texturize the suit. But you still see plenty of folds and creases within the suit. And we're going to look at a few of the switch outs here. But the shiny purple belt and cape harness looks great. A lot of people aren't a fan of the Magneto with the underwear on the outside. However, that's your typical Magneto. The way the cape flows looks fantastic. Looks like he just sat down and he's leaning forward, and kind of the power that he's coming from his body pushes that cape. So I think that's really, really cool how they did that. But yeah, anatomy looks great. The paint is very clean on this. Really impressed. One thing, his torso here, because his belly is covered up, took me a little bit odd when I unboxed it, but I think it looks really good. Little too much black. I would have preferred a little less black shading. But, what's interesting as I look at this, it's like once you've seen one Magneto, you've seen them all, but they still look phenomenal. Now, the portraits look great. I like the shine they put on the helmets. Look how clean the paint is there. I think that's really impressive. And that's on all the different portraits. Here his eyes are whited out because it's light up one. But even looking at some of the unhelmeted portraits, the skin tone is fantastic. I like the flow of the hair. Again, look how clean this paint is. Really impressed by that. Baring his teeth. So, a couple other ones. Here's my least favorite helmeted we talked about. Kind of the grumpy face. Which Magneto is a grumpy guy. But yeah, really clean paint applications here. And as you look at this and you go through it, you just see more and more every single time that you're looking at a new piece. The wire sticking out here. There's some more hoses, some tubes back here. So much cool stuff. The top, kind of hard to see, but look at that. Even the detail up there of where his brains are, the brains of the machine are ripped out. So impressed the more and more I look at this. Here's that crushed head. I love all the smaller Sentinel heads, how it's all crushed in there. That really adds to this. This piece, like I said, in person, I wasn't digging it. Or, no, I'm sorry. From afar, I wasn't digging it. But in person, this is really, really impressive. They did a great job on the sculpt. It's phenomenal. Paint job is very good as well. A few things I would tweak, but I think they pulled it off. All right, paint, as I said, incredibly clean, especially for so many different things going on. I give the paint a 4 out of 5 on this. I am incredibly impressed. It's a very strong 4 out of 5. And the sculpt, almost the same. I really, really like this guy. So despite the fact that I recently reviewed another Magneto from this group, you can actually check out the review right here. And kind of as a spoiler, I have a video coming up in the next few weeks. Mrs. X painted that black. It's already done. If you want to see it before that video, check out the social media I talked about earlier. But anyway, the sculpt on this I think is even better. I think it's a 5 out of 5 on this. Really, really impressed. All right, so value. Now this was a custom. Typically customs number around 50. There was 110 of these. So quite a bit more, but still very rare overall. And right now, in the market, we only have 2 Magneto on Sentinel Thrones. XM Studios, where they made $999, and these. This actually retailed for $1,750 plus shipping. Now, shipping was anywhere from $500 to $1,500, depending on what type you chose and where you lived in the world. Jerry paid about $750, so he's $2,500 all into this. While that seems like a lot, the XM Studios piece I showed earlier sells for $2,500 to $4,000, and you get a ton more for this. And it's a lot more rare. So I think the value is really good. I would give the value, honestly, a 5 out of 5. However, this is very hard to display. Custom pieces turn some people off, so I think it's a 4 out of 5 if it's not broken. If it's broken, whole different story. Now, does this have the X factor? I would love to say this has the X factor, but I can't get over the breakages. That is a horrible breakage. It's a horrible eyesore. You've probably been staring at it the whole time, unless you're looking at my sexy mug. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 statue. If it came in pristine condition, I would have given it a 5 out of 5 without a doubt. So the real question is, what's going to happen with this piece? Again, make sure to check out Collective Minds. The link is in the description below. Whether it gets repaired or not, or Joey gets some refund, whether he tries to sell to me for a discount, who knows? My next step is actually to see if this would even fit in my display, if I would even consider that if Jerry wanted to do that. And if you don't know who Jerry is, check out this live stream him and I did together right here. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Please drop me a like. It really, really helps the channel. Check out some of these other videos, and if you haven't, comment, because it really, really helps. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Take care.